Good morning. Welcome to another episode, another iteration of SouthDade Chamber Shoutout. Today, we're so fortunate to have Kenneth Wright with us. Kenneth is one of the advisors at USHEALTH Advisor, and more particularly with Health Insurance Savant. Okay, tell us a little bit about yourself, Ken. Well, first of all, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Les. I guess, kind of a fairly new transplant still to South Florida. I've been down here only 8 years. I came down here from New York, and I initially came to Florida. I'd had a health and wellness company in New York, and I sold it. And then I wanted to do something good for the world, so I joined Teach for America. They sent me to South Florida, and I spent a couple years teaching in Homestead. Some of the challenged kids there. So it was a great introduction to Miami and to Homestead. And I fell in love with Homestead by being there.
Absolutely.
And that's how and then when I went back into the insurance business I was in before, I figured that let's get my footprint as wide as I can. And being part of the SouthDade Chamber of Commerce was part of that.
Excellent. Well, I really do appreciate it. We appreciate you coming on the show and being here. I want to kind of pull out some things about exactly what you do. You had mentioned to me that a lot of times if myself or one of my friends were buying insurance that we were probably paying too much. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of places that you can get health insurance. The place that most people look for it is in what's called the Marketplace or the Obamacare Marketplace. And those are incredibly great plans. What makes them really great is that they cover pretty much every condition from the get-go. The problem with that is that you're also paying for every condition from the get-go. So even if you don't have diabetes, even if you don't have drug and alcohol rehab needs, even if you don't have a variety of things, that is included in your coverage. Well, there are plans, and if so, then you're paying for that. Well, there are plans out there that are underwritten. Just like your life insurance is underwritten, you can get a preferred life insurance rate. There are plans where you can get a preferred health insurance rate based upon meeting certain specific health standards.
So essentially, you kind of go in and carve out the things that you don't really need.
It's not quite that simple. What it is, the plans are already set up that they, for example, there are plans are already set up so that certain things are already carved out of them. So you have to qualify for that specific plan.
When you say qualify, what do you mean?
Well, we'll do a health exam, not a physical exam, but I will talk to you about your respiratory system, about your neurology system, about every part of your body. We'll do a 10-year look back in your health history and a 5-year look back in your prescription history. So we want to make sure that you are healthy to be qualified for one of these plans. So if you qualify, you get a great rate and you get the best coverage available. And the good news is if something happens afterwards, you're still covered for those conditions.
Okay. Nice. So, but all right, let's say that I work for one of the government agencies and as the employee, the price that they give me is incredible. It's always a good deal.
Yeah. You're never going to beat an employer plan. You're never going to beat a subsidized Obamacare plan. Who we really are looking for is for that self-employed person, for that small business person who's not on a group plan, who's paying full price in the Obamacare Marketplace. So those are people we can often save 20, 30, 40% on their coverage.
Okay, but what about like my family members, my spouse, or if I had kids? Normally they would fall under that employer plan. It's a little bit more expensive, but is it possible that I could do better by going outside?
You know, I'm going to use a really good example. We've worked with a number of different school areas. Schools, most employers do not want anybody else on that health plan except the employee. It costs them money. So oftentimes will be a financial penalty to include family members. And we found a couple of school groups out there right now that the cost to include the spouse and the family is fairly high, and oftentimes we've been able to carve them out and save the family money and get better health coverage as well.
And I have noticed, especially at post-military, I spent 33 years in the Navy. that my cost for that would be just about nothing. But as soon as I added my wife, or I could add 20 kids, and I didn't understand how it was the same price, which was really high, to add my wife or 20 kids.
Yeah.
20 is an exaggeration. Let's just
Right.
say two.
Right.
But it didn't cost me any more per child or anything like that. So it's kind of seemed to me that maybe that was just a buffer.
Yeah, it's a family. All plans have family rates. So they have a spousal rate and then they have family rate. So, and that doesn't, it's not impacted by the number of kids. Now, I don't know about 20 kids. It might be impacted by 20
Yeah, I
kids.
better not have 20 kids. I'd probably be in a little bit of trouble there. Absolutely. Or I got to be careful how I use those little, we make up those things. But so let me ask you a question. You're always going to look out for my interests. I mean, are you, a lot of times insurance almost seems like you're dealing with a used car salesman, and if I'm going to go away from the high price insurance and get something more specific, I don't want to buy things that.
Yeah. And again, insurance, especially in South Florida, people have a lot of questions, and they should. They should have a lot of questions. You want to make sure you have what you need and that it takes care of you. And what I want to make sure of is, do you have a plan that makes sense for you? I have an example. I have a client who came to me about a month ago, and he said, the physical therapy benefits on my plan that you sold me have run out. I need a different plan that's going to cover those. So I found him a plan. We spent a few hours looking together. I did some research to make sure that the provider he was using was qualified and would be part of that plan. And I called him back and said, here's the plan, what we had talked about. It's perfect for you. And he said to me, well, how do I sign up? Let's get signed up. I said, I can't sign you up on it. He said, what do you mean you can't sign me up? I said, I don't sell that plan. He said, you just spent like 3 hours with me trying to figure this out, and you're telling me you can't sell it to me? I said, well, what's really important here is you get the care that you need, because that's what I need and want from you. Because when it comes to the business that we're in, the most important thing is clients being happy, because that's where referrals come from. What I'm looking for in every relationship I enter into is people to have good things to say about me so they can send other people to me. And if that means I don't make a buck from the advice I'm giving them, then I don't make a buck from the advice I'm giving them.
So you didn't make anything on that?
Didn't make anything. A lot of what I do, Les, is get people to enroll in Marketplace plans, because that's what they qualify for. And I help them with that. And I just helped someone. I just got a referral from someone at the chamber. And that's what I did for him. He's a school teacher, and he right now is just doing substitute teaching. I helped him find an ACA plan that costs him $100 a month. Helped him enroll in it, and I didn't make a penny from it. But that was the best thing for him.
Right. And see, to me, that's what a person that's investing in their community does. That a person that it's not all about the money that you make. It's about doing the right thing for an individual or a group of individuals. A lot of times, if we sit back and think, okay, is this the best thing, or is this the easiest thing? It's or the one that's going to make me the most money. A lot of times, the decision is the wrong decision. But if we look at what's best for our community, and like you said, it may sound okay, self-serving. There'll be clients that are sent to you that are referred to you, but the reality of it is, if people refer someone back to you, it's because they're happy with what you did for them.
Yeah, and again, it's real easy for people to get caught up in chasing the dollars. That's something that I've never been about. Throughout all my career, I've always followed a path that has provided care and service to people. I have a master's in business, but I also have a master's in religion. So pursuing the right path has always been something that's been important to me. And pursuing the right path doesn't always mean making money.
Right. That's kind of really what we do here at the chamber. Our business is about your business. Okay. And for us to be prosperous and grow, then you have to be prosperous and grow. And not just you, all of our members So we try to do a lot to make sure that we promote them in every venue that we possibly can. Let me ask you a question, because as a diver, I do a lot of traveling. Okay. Does my insurance travel with me?
That's a great question. I don't know. Now, since you have TRICARE, right? You have TRICARE?
Yes, I do.
I would expect TRICARE does. TRICARE is a really, really solid plan that was negotiated by the government, so I expect that it does. But if you purchase health coverage in the marketplace, there's a possibility that you have a limited plan with a limited network, and the type of services you're going to be able to receive when you travel will also be limited.
So you have used that term several times, a marketplace. Can you tell me what that means in health insurance marketplace?
Yeah. So when Obamacare came into place, whatever it was, 10 plus years ago, one thing that happened was that the federal government said, we want to make health insurance available to everyone. We want to guarantee there are what they call the 10 essential health benefits. Everything from emergency room care to prescription care to pregnancy care to drug and alcohol rehab. So there's 10 essential health benefits, and those need to be made available to people with what they call guarantee issue, meaning no matter what's wrong with you, you get to have coverage from the marketplace. Okay, and the marketplace means each state then puts out, each state has its own insurance regulations. So each state then has insurance companies come to them and say, we want to sell insurance in Florida. So in Florida, we're really lucky. We probably have 8 or 10 companies.
Right.
Avid, Florida Blue, Oscar. There's a number of them right now that sell health coverage in Florida. So what that means is when open enrollment comes, which is usually November till December 15th, people get a chance to go in and look for coverage for the year. And these, again, are people that aren't getting coverage through their job, aren't on Medicare, or not on Medicaid.
Mhm.
So they have to go to the marketplace. They just have to go out and shop for it. They can buy it from a number of insurance agents, or they can go on the web and buy it themselves. And that's what the marketplace is.
Okay. All right. Very. So what about prescriptions? So how do I keep from paying Uber dollars for $10,000 for some of these prescription drugs that are out there?
Yeah, I have this question is really close to my heart. About 6 weeks ago, I had a daughter who was diagnosed with a blood disorder, and they've traced it back to a viral thing, so it's all going to be fine. But when the doctor gave us the prescription was $10,000 a month. And so there are people out there that do run into those kinds of things. And the question is, what do you do? Now, number one, having the right kind of health coverage is critically important, because your insurance companies have negotiated with these pharmaceutical companies. Fortunately, our plan ended up only have to pay $70 a month for that prescription. So it went from $10,000 to $70. But there was machinations in between. We also had to get involved with the pharmaceutical company that had an aid program. So if you run into those kinds of problems, number one, if you don't have insurance, the good news is the pharmaceutical companies have established programs to help everyone reduce their costs.
Okay. I like that term you use, machination. I like to use tearing of garments and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah. There's a lot, but again, the hardest thing this isn't something most people can figure out. Well, let me put it this way. It takes a lot of time and effort to figure this out. That's why you want to have a good health insurance agent. And that's what really separates me from a lot of the other agents out there. That's why my tag is, why use an agent? Why use an agent when you could choose the savant? Because what I do is that my care for my clients begins when I sell them the policy.
Right.
I make sure they know what they're getting. I make sure they know what the plan's all about. But when they have to start using it, that's when most people get confused. So I had a client call me up that thought she had COVID.
Mhm.
And I have COVID. I've been out of bed for 3 days. I need to go see a doctor. I said, okay, let's slow down. Number one, you have telemedicine. Let's get you on a phone call with a doctor so they can do some type of, telemedicine, evaluation, diagnosis. And number two, let's find a pharmacy that will deliver to you. And then number three, I'm going to call you back later today. So, we'll figure that out. If there's an emergency room nearby you need to get to. So I called her back later that day and she said, oh, I'm feeling a lot better, but they want me to go to the hospital. I said, then why aren't you going? And she said, oh, I'm feeling a little bit better. I want to see how I feel in the morning. I said, okay, well, if you don't call me by 9 tomorrow, I'm sending an ambulance. Mm-hmm. And she laughed. I called her at 8:55 the next morning. She answered the phone and said she felt fine, right? So she was going to wait it out. So the story here is that I sold her the policy, but that isn't when my work ended.
Right.
I helped her find those things. And that's not something that every agent out there, number one, is willing to do, but number two, can do. Right. Being able to negotiate the confusing healthcare system here in this country is hard. And that's what my background is all about, is figuring out how to provide the services that people need, making sure they know how to access them.
So if you were to create or put together the dream health plan, well, what would that look like?
A lot of people have a lot of different ideas on that. What I would say is what you want is the lowest premium possible, right? With the largest network of providers, meaning you could go to anywhere you want to in the country, from Mayo Clinic in Minnesota to Sloan Kettering in New York to MD Anderson in Houston. And then you would also have a fairly high deductible. People say, well, why a high deductible? Well, what people have to realize is that if you're healthy, the only time you're going to touch that deductible if something happens to you, right? So what I always tell my clients is, why pay a higher premium per month when you never know if you're going to touch that? That's sunk cost. So if you're paying an extra $100, $200 a month because you want to lower your deductible from $8,000 to $5,000, you're going to lose that if it's $200 a month, you're losing $2,400. Sunk cost.
Right.
You don't know if you'll ever use that. So it's really worth it. If you are in good shape, right, then that's what's important. Now, if you have a chronic condition, if you have diabetes, if you have a chronic condition that needs ongoing health care, then you need to look at the deductible a little bit differently. And hopefully that's something that your agent can help you. This is the plan that makes the most sense. And that is something, again, that a lot of agents aren't as versed in as some other agents like me.
well, that's what we're here to talk about you.
Yeah, I don't want to toot my horn too loud, but that is why they call me the savant.
Yeah. But that's the point. It's the service that you provide. Okay. And so we want to know what you do. We want to know what the advisors do. We want to know that when we call them, we're going to get you. Okay. I thought it was impressive that, all right, your several phone calls that were tied to one client and one issue. Okay. And so when you give that level of attention, to me, there's a value there.
Yeah. And I am part of a larger team. I am an agent with USHEALTH Advisors. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that my boss, Ron Leonard, talks about all the time, how critically important it is to take care of your clients. That's why we're there. Mm-hmm. That's what we're all about. And we need to do that. So, and if you do that, it's good business and it's something that people will appreciate.
And what a perfect way to slide over, but good business and something that people will appreciate. And that's really what we should be about. If you're in business, okay, you're not going to stay in business if you're practicing bad business. Okay. You want to be something that this community, which is made of people, will appreciate. Okay. Let me come back to you. Okay.
Okay.
I do appreciate it. I need to talk about a few of our new members and some of the events that we have coming up. First of all, a couple of weeks ago, I started talking about the Military Appreciation Day, which is being put on and sponsored by the Miami Marlins. And we're so excited about that. That will be on September 5th. And what's going to happen is we're going to put 300 military service members, either active duty or reserve, in the ballpark. They'll be playing the Philadelphia Phillies. And what we're looking for, especially from our members, is to help make that happen. So if you reach out to the chamber, we're going to put my email address up there. Just send me a note and let me know if you want to help with getting these military members into the chamber. There's a small donation that we're asking, and that money is going directly to getting our members on the in the field. Their kids will actually be able to go on the field and run the bases. So it's going to be a full day thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also in September, we're doing our poker run. We moved the poker run, bad weather. We're going to move it to the 18th of September. If you keep your eye on the Peterson Harley-Davidson website, actually, if you'll notice, you'll see petersonharleydavidson.com running across the bottom of the screen. What's happening there, folks, is what we're trying to do to keep our promise to promote the members of the chamber, which, Kenneth actually asked me a question, what do my members expect from our chamber? And what an incredible question. And so I want to ask you, all of our members, if you're a member of the SouthDade Chamber of Commerce, what do you expect from your chamber? All right. My email address is on the screen. Send me a note. Let me know what you expect. Even more so, let me know what your experience has been if you're not receiving what you expect. Because I'd like to make sure that we remedy that, because again, keeping you happy will keep the chamber in the business of taking care of your business. So keep that in mind. The last thing that will be coming up, which will actually be a very big event, a community event. We're going to do a health and wellness fair. We did one a couple of months ago up in Cutler Bay. We had one planned for Florida City. Again, we had issues, but we have one that's coming up in October, and it is the 16th of October. It's going to be on the campus of Miami-Dade College, which is the Homestead campus of Miami-Dade College. And there's so much that will be going on there. There'll be the big red blood truck there that will be doing a lot of measurements with blood pressure and all of that stuff that maybe you ought to come, because it'll be a good time for you to start talking to folks. But that'll be a very big event where it's free to the public. Get a hold of me and using this email address, and I'll send you all the information on it. What I also want to do, and I'm very, very happy to do this, we have several new members. Last week, we did a grand opening for Clean Streak Ventures, which is a car wash, and that's right outside of Cutler Bay. That's on Southwest 112th. Incredible event that we did last Thursday. There were balloons and a lot of people there. They gave away free car washes, and I know you're thinking, well, that's past. Well, I tell you what, the programs that they have there for you to keep your car clean, keep your car vacuumed. And if you're a lazy guy like me, that's definitely the way to go. They have package deals that are excellent. In fact, I'm going to have them on the show to talk about what they're doing up there. We also have the Renaissance Antiques, which is a program, not a program, that's owned by Margaret McCarthy, and that's local to downtown Homestead. Welcome. We have the Blue Vase Boutique, which is Juliette Mina. And she's a young, new entrepreneur who is going to be looking at getting involved with our young professionals. So inside the chamber, we have a group of I call them youngsters. I'm an old guy. They're probably 27, 30, 34 years old that are just all about it. Drake Peterson was on the show the other day. He's one of those guys. Paolo, he's one of those guys, and they're just all about business and here in SouthDade. So what we're seeing is essentially my successors. At some point, I'll be able to step up because I see these young folks coming up, and they're getting it done, and they're getting it done right.
Right.
which is what's really, really important. And then Station America. Station America does actually one of the things I'm looking, we'll have to talk about that. I have a bus for my youth program that I want to get a wrap on. So they wrap vehicles, they do signs, a lot of very, very cool stuff. If you go to the Chamber's website, our website is set up to be more or less a portal to each one of these businesses. So if you click on the name of this business, their page will come up. All of their information will be there. They have the ability to put a video there or photos or anything that they want. That's what's I like to say really cool about what we're trying to do with the Chamber. Our business is about your business. Again, I want to thank Kenneth Wright for being here. It's been so exciting to learn a little bit more about health insurance, and it's something I really haven't paid attention to, being in the military for so long.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's again, and that's the whole point, is that not only do people not pay attention to it, but we have the best health coverage in the world in this country. We also have one of the most confusing, frustrating, confounding systems. My wife is British, and I can't tell you how many times she says to me how troublesome it is. But the bottom line is that you can get the care you need when you need it if you know how to negotiate the system. And that's what somebody like me can help you do. And that's why they call me the health insurance savant.
The health insurance savant. Folks, masks are coming back for a little while. Okay. It's not mandatory in all places, but I highly recommend, if you carry a mask, there are a lot of times you're going to walk into a place and they're going to want you to put a mask on. So carry a mask, and also, quite frankly, get vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. I feel much better about it, but I still try to be smart. So I do carry a mask.
And if you want a health insurance savant mask, reach out to me. I'll get you one.
So thank you so much for joining us. Again, we look forward to having everyone back here. There'll be another person sitting in the seat where Kenneth is. Hopefully it'll be as informative as today was. I learned a lot just being here.
Well, thank you. And I want to just give a little shout out to Les and say, I know you've been with the Chamber for a while now, but this is the first chance we've had a chance to sit down. And I'm very excited about your tenure and the work you're doing to help continue to build up the SouthDade Chamber and the SouthDade business community.
Thank you, Kenneth. I really do appreciate that. It's a labor of love. It's not a job that I have to have. I love what I'm doing. I love working with businesses. I love working with people and being able to do something for our community. And this is a community.
And if any of you out there have not yet joined the Chamber or have any questions at all, reach out to Les, because this group is growing, developing, and Les is bringing some really strong organizational military skill to this. So we're going to be marching to the right orders and making sure this works.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll pay you after the show. All right, folks. Hey, have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here.